Hudson Mohawke, Crush Sugar album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this new album from Hudson Mohawke, Scottish producer, electronic artist. The guy has a production credit list that is like a mile long, and it's pretty impressive as well, as is, some of his solo material, even though we haven't gotten that much of it. His 2009 solo debut, Butter, well, a little lengthy in times and downright annoying at other times. Overall, I enjoyed it. Yes, like I said, it is needlessly long, but it's also very colorful, very fun, very vibrant, electronic, wonky, UK bass. It's fun. It's not perfect, but it's fun. But I did enjoy his follow-up album, Lantern, a whole lot more. Overall, I just thought this was a much more solid and, most importantly, genre-pushing of a release. I mean, while we haven't gotten any solo work from him in quite some time, truthfully, he's been a busy boy. He's always producing. He did both Tonight projects. The guy, he stays busy. But as far as, some solo work goes, it's been quite a long time, and he certainly answered that with this new album that is over an hour long, 19 tracks, and I thought a lot of the singles leading up to it were pretty quirky and pretty fun. Let's chat about it. This album starts off with Ingle, Nook, and it is a very spacious, very cinematic intro. It's got some quirky synths, some really, actually very classy strings, and the production is just about as pristine as you would expect. It makes me feel like I'm gearing up to listen to something big and ahead of its time. Good on it. Then we have Intentions, which is a lot more along the lines of what I expected to hear from the get-go, and yeah, it's a really good track. This track goes freaking hard. I love the soul sample here and just the booming bass, and it's a lot of fun. It's very playful, and it opens up really nicely for this bridge. It goes from a muscular party jam to something pretty spacious and ambient and really nice on the ears very quickly. I expected nothing more. I also do really like the Expo interlude. It's short and sweet, but it's also light on the ears and just carefree. Once again, while this is a very long album, I find a lot of it to be just a lot of fun. I think Hudmo delivers. Now, a lot of these tracks are incredibly busy. You don't want to, look away or, take your headphones off for a second. You will miss a lot of details. That is very obvious on behold. It is once again very colorful, very vibrant, and I love the sample once again. There's a lot of really great work in that department. And production-wise, you know what you're getting. The majority of this album is just pretty pristine, but it's also a lot of fun. I really do enjoy Bicstan as well. This is one of the heavier tracks here. The beat here is very wild-eyed, very intense. It's a lot more upbeat and energetic, and at the end of the day, it comes off as more of a club track. This one definitely has its aim on that, but it does its job because it got me up and moving. Not only that, but in a lot of ways, it's one of the more accessible tracks here. And for my liking, Stump is one of my favorite tunes of the bunch. It has this epic, grandiose nature with these gigantic synths. I love them. It's really beautiful and actually pretty regal in its own way. I kind of wish this started off the album. It's a really cool and interesting left turn that shows Hudson Mohawke can do a whole lot more than big bassy party jams. It's a real interesting experiment. Is It Suppose is really nice too. It's very quirky. It's very fun. It's a throwback tune for sure, though. It seems to be pulling from throwback hip-hop and 90s dance. Some synth pop as well. And the vocal snippet, once again, really works wonderfully. He really does so well at crafting these weird vocal samples. And it's not too heavy or too heady. I actually needed a little bit of a reprieve at this point, and this track gave it to me. It's also one of the more progressive tunes here. This track is over 6 minutes, but it does seem justified. It builds, it pops, it's a complete thought, and I like complete thoughts. And Lonely Days is a really interesting left turn as well. Yeah, this title is correct. This is a very emotional and lonely and somber sounding tune. We get some 8-bit synths, we get a really moody vocal snippet once again. It's very dreary, and once again it's on the more progressive side. This shows that Hudson Mohawke really has, this weird experimental side to him, and it's not just wonky and UK bass. It's really well thought out, and this track ends up being tragic. I didn't really expect to feel this amount of feelings from this album. It is a nice surprise. And now what is not a nice surprise is the length of this album. I can't stress how long this album is. It is a lot, and there is a lot of material here, and I would argue that not all of it needs to be here. Dance Forever is the first real dip in quality. I actually liked this track at first, but it lessened on me really quickly. I honestly, I feel like this vocal snippet is the most obnoxious thing here. The beat goes pretty hard, and I actually like that a lot. I mean, you can move to it for sure, but this repeated sample is nauseating, and by the end of it, I never want to hear it again. It just feels like Hudmo is just trying too hard. Bow is not much better. I mean, the low-key, lumbering beat that we get here, low energy, and this obnoxious, asinine vocal snippet. I think this is easily the worst track here. It's bottom of the barrel, below bottom of the barrel. And most importantly, it is far from sexy. Trust me, look to the new Beyonce for that. Redeem isn't really my cup of tea either. This track is just unnecessary. I feel like I stumbled somehow onto a Calvin Harris set at a festival. This album just, you know, it seems like it's handled with a lot of care and love and detail for the most part, but then we get this and it's just filler. And K-Pipe is a real upsetting miss. This is one of the weirdest and most experimental cuts here. Shout out to Kareen for these vocals here. I love her. That's cool and all, but this is so sharp of a left turn, it just ends up sounding so lost and just sticks out like a sore thumb so hard. Like, it ends up being weird for the sake of being weird, and that just doesn't work with me. Overall though, this is a solid album. It's a very enjoyable album from Hudson Mohawke. Three Sheets to the Wind may be my favorite deep cut here. This is classy. I love the soul sample. I love the big bassy riff. It's nice. This one seems to be, once again, inspired by classic hip-hop, but it brings some fresh ideas to the table. I needed a little revamp right now, a little jolt of energy, and that's what this track does for me. It's done with love, and it's really exciting. And that goes double for some buzz. Let me tell you, there is something about a choir sample, when it is done right, that is just life-affirming, and this is done so well. I mean, there are a lot of left turns on this project, more than I expected. If you were expecting, you know, a little bit something more streamlined, like Lantern, you might be disappointed with this project. Like here, this track transitions to a really stripped-down piano riff with a sort of, you know, big bassy riff accompanying it. It's a weird left turn, but it's done really tastefully. And I would go as far as to say that Tincture might be the best medium here. It has a strong house beat to it that's really pensive, really grows a lot, almost reminds me of something out of the Book of Fortet, but it also has a weird experimental side, especially in those sort of weird vocal snippets that we get here. It's really cool. It's a great risk, and some of the ambient moments we get in the later moments are breathtaking. And Nork 69 might be the brightest, sunniest, and most euphoric track here. We get these ethereal synths, and this atmosphere is just so light and fluffy and sunny and nice. We really do get a lot of sides here, but it's really triumphant and pleasant. But then I feel like Hudson Mohawke really does drop the ball in the final moments here. Come a little closer. It's a little too light and airy and poppy for me. If this is Hudson Mohawke's pop song, sign me out of this immediately. This sounds like a crap remix. And more importantly, it sounds like it was much more aimed towards like the festival set than an album, that's for sure. And by the time that Ingle Nook Slumber rolls around, I just feel like it's unnecessary at this point. He's made this, you know, track, but like a lot better on other tunes on here. It doesn't really wrap anything up either. It's kind of here, and you know, with all of the material on this album, I feel like it could have very easily been left out. Yeah, this album's pretty damn long, and you know, it didn't need to be that, because so much, a bulk of this album, so much of it is so enjoyable and carefree and fun and colorful and vibrant and just a little something different from Hudson Mohawke, as he really does do a lot of experimenting here. There's some weird left turns that I really do enjoy, but it's quantity over quality here. He could have shaved 7 tracks off this album and it would have been so much better. I do think the good outweighs the bad, though. I'm feeling a decent 7 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.